March 11th of this year marked the 10th anniversary of the Fukushima nuclear power plant disaster in Japan. This was the worst disaster since the Chernobyl that happened 30 years ago. People had to leave their homes and evacuate because of the radioactive material that was found on the site. Today, this radioactive material is still found, and the Prime Minister of Japan has decided to release this radioactive wastewater into the ocean. I believe that Japan should not release this radioactive material in the ocean because it will pose a threat to people's healths and fishing industries will suffer. First, I will say why this water has accumulated in the site. Second, I will present my two arguments of why they should not release this into the water. And last, I recommend what we can do to ensure that this water will not be released to the ocean. Now onto some background information. Explained in a BBC News article published this month, the Fukushima site lies on the east coast of Japan and was destroyed on March 11, 2010. It was destroyed by an earthquake followed by a tsunami that caused the reactors to be damaged. These natural disasters caused a nuclear meltdown as well as chemical explosions that caused damage. Here is the explosion, and this is the Fukushima site. According to a South China Morning Post article written by Echo Zie this month, Japan is still facing the aftermath 10 years later. Since the cooling system got damaged by these natural disasters, the operator of the plant, Tokyo Electrical Power Company, TEPCO for short, has been continuously pumping cold water into the system to cool the molten fuel. Consequently, this has led to the buildup of 1.25 million tons of contaminated water that is housed in about 1,000 tanks on site. The problem is that they will run out of space by the second half of next year. Here you can see all the tanks, and this is in the Fukushima site. It is composed of about 1,000 tanks on the site. Japan has considered 5 other options, but they chose the cheapest and fastest solution, which is dumping it into the ocean. Now, what Japan considers their cheapest and fastest solution has consequences to others. It will pose health problems to people. Julian Ryo, publisher of the South China Morning Post, writes an article this month saying that Japan is downplaying the dangers of this water. 5 United Nations experts say that releasing it is a violation of human rights and that it will increase the health risks of children. A South China article by Hang writes that there is still a long list of radioactive materials that could be found in this water, including cesium and strontium. A Greenpeace article by Bernie written in October says that there may be carbon-14 found in this water, which has the potential to damage the genetics in people. Rick Steiner, a marine biologist, conservation biologist, says that this is a very serious matter. In fact, TEPCO did recently admit that the water does contain carbon-14. Seeing as TEPCO hid this, what else could TEPCO be hiding about what is in this water? Japan and TEPCO are downplaying the dangers, and others are going against the idea of dumping it. Japan should not release this into the ocean because it will pose a threat to fishing industries. The National Public Radio Station, NPR, by Kuhn says that it was criticized by local fishermen, environmental organizations, and Japan's neighbors. Friends of the Earth Japan, an environmental organization, says that if they do release it, then it will be impossible for them to sell their catch. Teresa Machimer, author of Smithsonian Magazine, published this month, says that it will be released in about 2 years and will take up to 40 years for it all to be released. Fukushima already has a bad reputation of them finding dangerous elements in their fish. So the release of more radioactive material will lead countries to further ban their imports on the Fukushima coast, and this will lead fisheries to close and people to lose their jobs. Additionally, TEPCO promised not to release this water until they have the approval of local fisheries, but that promise was broken. They proved to be untrustworthy and selfish, that will pollute the ocean. Now it is up to the public to convince them not to release this water. Here are some protesters showing that the radioactive material will be found in fish, which will hurt the fishing industry there. Now, I admit that it is tricky for us to directly solve this problem, but we all know people and we all have platforms in which our voices can be heard. First, I ask that you inform others about the dangers and how people will lose their jobs. Second, I ask that you sign the petition on change.org. And third, I ask that you boycott or at least decrease your reliance on nuclear power energy and other non-renewable energy resources so that further dumpings will be prevented. You can use change.org and these links for us to do something about it. In conclusion, it happened 10 years ago, but we are still facing the effects. Japan should not release this because it will cause health problems and fishing industries will suffer. We can do something about it by signing petitions, informing others, and decreasing our reliance on nuclear energy resources. It is important because we share the ocean with everyone. And if Japan does decide to release it, then it will be like a domino effect where other countries think that it's okay to also release their material. The fact is that the ocean is not our dumping site.